Hello everyone, welcome to another episode live from Badminton Horse Trials. We're here with Clare Howard, who is physio for the British Pony Dressage team and founder of the Balanced Rider. Clare is here to talk to us all about what she does and why physio is so important. So Clare, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
That's okay. We're here with Clare's dog as well, which is very exciting because I love
Kiera the Poodle.
Kiera the Poodle.
And if you follow the Balanced Rider on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see she appears in lots of photos.
Lots
and
of
Harry the Skeleton.
Yes, but Harry
You'll see a
won't
photo
make
of
any noise in the interview.
He'll be
Be quiet.
He'll be a very well behaved podcast guest. So our first question, were you a member of the Pony Club, and if so, what branch?
Yes, I was. I was a member of the Taunton Vale Foxhounds. I think it's just Taunton Vale now.
Oh, so like this sort of southwest.
Yeah, I was Devon Somerset. Yeah.
Good hunting run there.
Oh, good hunting. And I remember so many good. The bit I really remember is the summer camps.
Yes.
They were very good fun.
What was your favourite summer camp memory?
Well, they
It
used to
can
do.
be something that's not allowed anymore.
Yeah, they used to do them at the racing at the racetrack,
Yeah.
Taunton racetrack.
Oh, wow,
And I
cool.
had a quick look before I came today because
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I wonder where they do them. They don't do them now. I expect they're not allowed anymore. But we used to do them on the racetrack, and we weren't allowed on the track.
Of course.
But I do remember being on the track a few times.
we used to have ours at Tweedledum, and when it was working point to point course, yes, very much no ponies on the gallops at all. And there were a couple of times where we had some out of
Accidents.
control
Yes.
moments.
We were bolting.
Yes.
All 5 of us.
All
No
around the
steering
course.
at all.
I mean, we had no steering, but that was just us. That wasn't on
But I
purpose.
do remember my tack never being so clean as those weeks.
I don't think mine was even clean during this week.
Oh, our DC was terrible.
My mum was
Or wonderful, I should say.
My mum was DC, and
Oh, no.
she was terrible to me, but it was still how it was. So, what's one thing? Okay, what interested you about physiotherapy and made you want to pursue it as a career?
My mum's a nurse and my aunt's a nurse, and there's quite a few other sort of nursey things.
So
in the
heavily
family.
medical background.
Yeah, but my parents always owned a nursing home, and only little small family-run ones. So we actually lived in a nursing home,
So nice.
which was really sweet because it meant you had something like 20 grandmothers and a granddad. So I always knew I wanted to do something caring, and I often thought later, why didn't I want to be a doctor? But the only doctors I saw used to have to rush in, do an emergency and rush out, and I sort of thought, that doesn't sound like they have a
That's
very
not
much
fun.
fun job. Whereas the physios always used to come in and do lots of nice stuff. And I realised when my mum set me up going around a local hospital, Taunton Hospital, and they had so many different things you could pick from, like going around the wards or being in the outpatients or being with the children or being in intensive care, that I knew I didn't have to pick too early what I wanted to do. But it was with people and it was fun.
Yeah.
So that was good.
There were lots of options.
Lots of options.
And how did you sort of become qualified?
You have to do it. If you want to be a chartered physio, which is the one that's sort of like a licensed physio, you have to do the university route, and that's a 3-year university degree course. And then you can go and do whatever you want. And usually people go and join the NHS for 2 years, where you go around and spend a couple of months at each different ward, each different department, so you sort of get confidence, and then you decide what you want to do for the rest of your career. And it was at that point that I went into treating chronic pain, sort of long-term conditions.
Oh, that's quite intense, quite an intense thing to do.
Yeah, not many physios like it very much. And
I can see why.
it's kind of it's very, very rewarding. And it was a friend of mine that said, you ought to treat horse riders, and I remember saying, well, this was
Most
8
of us
years
have
ago.
chronic pain, so it makes sense.
And I thought maybe it wouldn't be useful because no one else was doing it at the time, or very, very few. There was Annie Thomas, who was a GB physio, and there was a lovely lady up in Yorkshire, and there was 1 or 2 other people, but not many. And I thought, because I'd not done any sports injuries, none at all, didn't like it very much, that it would be sort of self-limiting and it wouldn't be any good. And it wasn't until my friend said, yeah, but horse riders don't look after themselves, and by the time they see you, they'll have fallen off 2 years ago, and it will be a chronic condition. And sure enough, it is.
Well, that sort of leads on to our next question of what made you think there would be a market for physiotherapy
I
providers?
genuinely didn't know. I set it up in the evenings after work. and I just literally
Was back to back
experimented, and I can't believe I was going to a diary, because 8 years just last month, and I found my original diary, and I can't believe how quickly people booked in.
Really?
And within the year I had to give up my other job to do full time.
Because I remember it was 6 years ago or 7 years ago.
You came to see my colleague Kim, didn't you?
Yes, but before that, our area, a 16 plus camp, Pony Club area, had booked you in to do a demo, and it was about a year or two before I went to see Kim that you'd done that. And
I remember that one. That was Merriswood.
Yeah. And we got all the instructors to get on the wobble boards at the end. It was great fun.
Was it embarrassing for the instructors?
No, actually, they were actually really good at it.
I love a wobble board.
Have you seen the wobble board that the horse racing guys have used?
Yeah, with the...
It's called an Indo board, and I set up one of our sponsored event riders. It's a really, really difficult wobble board.
Are they expensive?
Anyone who wants to see this, it's on your Facebook page.
Yes, it's linked in on the Facebook page. It's on horse racing Facebook page, and in a couple of months we're going to give one of our event riders a chance to get used to it, because I can't stand on it.
Do you want to give a podcast one?
No, I haven't got it with me quite deliberately. I left it at home thinking I don't want anyone to ask me to get on it.
And then have to treat the person that falls off it.
So at Pony Club Nationals last year, they have some physios who come and do like massages for the riders and stuff, and it's amazing. And I think they had 4, and the challenge was you had to get on one. If you could do one, you did one on top of the other, and I did 4, which I was quite proud of myself for. I've been wanting to buy one for so long, but this one sounds like it might be better to buy than a normal wobble board.
Yeah, they are more expensive, these ones, because they're actually designed for surfers. And when I was in my previous job, I worked in Portsmouth, and there was an awful lot of surfers and kite surfers. So it's actually a surfing board, which you can imagine. So you can imagine it's kind of slightly like a mini surfboard, and quite difficult to do.
I definitely want to get one of those.
That could be good for Instagram.
Yeah.
Seeing our progression.
See, I'll fall off it a lot.
I'll have to lend it to you for a month.
Yes,
do a beginning and end.
That'd be so good.
Yes, please.
So, as a physio, what does your average day look like? I know you're here at Badminton this week, so it's a bit out of the ordinary.
I probably do a job very unlike many other physios. There's 4 of us in the team, and we've got a couple of different permanent clinics. And on a clinic day, they're fairly standard, so we tend to start a bit later, so we'd probably only start about sort of 10 or 11 o'clock, once yards have been mucked out and that kind of thing. And then we'll work through the day, but we'll finish quite late, so 8 or 9 in the evening. So people come sort of either after they've ridden or before they've ridden, and so that's a sort of a standard clinic day. But then I spend a lot of time out on the road, so I go to different clinics all over the country. I go to events like this. I get to speak to lovely people like you guys, and so my job is really, really varied, and I love it. I really do love it.
What would you say are the most common problems that you see in riders?
Every discipline has got its own little quirk.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. But they're all largely based around lower back, pelvis, how you sit on your seat bones.
We were literally on our way to talk to you, and we were both like, lower back really hurts, this bit really hurts.
Yeah. I mean, you get sort of like maybe some of the eventers and the show jumpers might get more shoulder problems because they're holding on to really hard pulling horses, or they've fallen off and landed on a shoulder and got a dislocation or something. But as a general rule, it's usually that sort of the bit you sit on that you need to control.
Is that across the board, or like do dressage riders have different problems from eventers?
Yeah, they all have slightly different issues. So eventers, dressage riders, show jumpers, endurance, horseball, western, arenas, they have a completely different. We do a lot of work with western. They all
get some
have
contact details on, because we want to talk to them as well.
They all have slightly different things, and so you have to sort of, when you're looking at someone, one, you can almost always guess what discipline they do before you see them, and 2, you try and make sure you kind of hone into the right conversation type, so that if I'm talking about going around in circles, I wouldn't mention that to
an endurance rider.
No, or a show jumper even.
Very true. You've recently become involved in the British Pony Dressage team, with riders being based all around the country. So how do you ensure they all get the same support based on where you are?
So I go to, they have 3 to 5 training and riding events during the winter season, and I'm at all of those events, so they get to see me at least sort of 3 to 5 times. Several of them have got their own physios at home, and I liaise with those guys.
Well, even at what problems do you have at 16?
This is earlier, this is 12. These are
Oh my
pony riders.
God! Guys, take a nap.
If you want to ride for GB, you need to be level from the start.
And that's why I haven't.
So yeah, we do see them. The 12-year-olds start at the pony squad.
Do you find with the fact that it's 12 to 16 that you get a lot of problems with them growing?
Oh, I love it. What I really like about treating I call them youth riders because otherwise I end up calling them junior riders or young riders, and that's actually different categories and it all gets very confusing. So I call them youth riders, and I really, really like seeing the youth riders because you really do see them grow each month you see them. Keep going. So yeah, I remember one young girl last year, she was at the Europeans and she was going through an actual growth spurt. So the 2 months that we led up to that, I think every time I saw her, I thought she might be growing another millimetre, because every time I saw her,
It was slightly different.
she was slightly different, and it was so good for me. You're constantly learning, and that's the fun bit of it, is that you're always having to sort of develop skills, you're always having to increase your observational skills, just constantly trying to be the best you can to help that rider out.
Yeah. Was that a big learning curve, like having dealt with adults for a while, having to suddenly deal with kids?
Yeah, I was a little bit reluctant. Probably the most scary demo I've ever done is actually the one that you were talking about earlier, Alex, when I was at your that
16
demo,
plus camp.
16 camp plus camp, because that was the first youth camp that I'd done, and I was terrified. Put me in front of a bunch of,
Adults.
OAPs, anyone over 30.
People who know what their problems are.
I was terrified of doing a child's sort of type one. Now I absolutely love it. I would take on any children's one that I get because I find it so interesting. The problems are different, how you treat people is different. It's a really, really interesting subject.
So how often will you treat kids, and how different is their treatment from adults?
I try, especially if I'm seeing a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried if I'm seeing one of like a squad member, because they literally do have to be the best you can be at 12. But if I'm seeing a nice local rider who wants to be a good rider, I would try not to make a mountain out of a molehill. They'll probably have something really minor that isn't quite right. It's highly unlikely there's actually anything wrong. It might just mean they're going through a growth spurt, or one leg is
Longer than the other.
slightly longer than the other at that 6-month period.
I've got that.
And so I try and literally sort of find small little bits and just work on small little bits and just watch the growth and sort of just try and help it develop in a nice symmetrical way. There's very rarely anything wrong at that age.
What's one exercise that you would recommend all riders should do?
Anything. There's a couple of different ones, but around keeping your hips and sort of lower back flexible and symmetrical, because you'll often find, perhaps if you're sitting like we are and we put one foot on the opposite knee,
I always sit like this, with my right leg crossed over my other one.
and notice that what you do is your patterns, because if you always sit in one pattern, that's how you'll sit on your horse. So if you always put your right leg over your left, you'll sit on your left seat bone.
Yeah.
So you need to, when you're at school, I always say don't worry about slumping, but make sure you can slump evenly on both sides.
Yeah.
So if you're in the middle of a very boring maths lesson, trying to not to be seen looking out the window, just have a fidget around and see how many different positions you can get symmetrical on both sides, the same on both sides.
This is really, I've changed my legs over and it's really uncomfortable now. Not a fan of this.
But hula hooping would be something.
Hula hooping is great fun, especially you've got to be able to go in both directions.
Yeah,
With your feet in the same kind of positions.
I wonder whether I could. So I used to be able to hula hoop really well, and I'm not sure whether I can still do it. But I think I probably could, because I used to be able to cartwheel, and I can still do that, as I found the other day for a photo.
Never been able to cartwheel.
Can you go in both directions? Because most people think they're really good at something, and they are incredibly good on one leg.
I used to be able to go in both directions, although one was like I had to force myself to do it. I think a couple of drinks and I probably still could.
That's coffee we're talking about.
Yeah. What else would it be? A couple of strong lemonades. Off I go. Do you think, so dealing a lot with young riders who are on pathways, etc., Do you think talent is real, and how much of a bearing do you think it has on an individual's success in the sport?
I definitely think talent is real. Some people are just better at some things than others.
Yeah.
But I would say in terms of top level competition, it's only 50%. It's only half of the deal.
Really?
Yeah.
That much?
If you have to be naturally good at something, but then if you're not focused, if you're not prepared to do the extra bit of work, then you won't reach the top, because there are so many other people out there who are equally naturally good at the sport you're doing, and they are willing to go that extra step further. So you'll see all the top riders, and Charlotte Jadjin is a really good example of having someone who is talented, has got a natural flair for dressage, but she works so hard on every different aspect of riding. So she looks at herself, she looks at her diet, she looks at her everything to do with the horse, and it's every little tiny bit that counts.
Yeah. What do you say?
What's one thing that you wish you'd learned sooner?
I'm not sure. I'm one of these fake people, and I always think that you get to life on a certain journey, and I really think that we should. I've benefited from not going straight from university into doing horse riders. I like the fact that my journey has brought me to the horse riding at this point, because I think I can bring quite a lot to the table that I wouldn't have been able to do earlier on. I suppose the only thing is I wish I was a little bit more tech savvy, because I have to get my old brain to work really hard trying to keep up with all the different algorithms.
We think that all the time.
Yeah, we've just we went to visit Lorna from Bailey's, and the thing that she can't live without is pen and paper, and Tess just looked at me and was like, "You're in the same boat. Use your phone."
I can't write a list on a phone. I have to write it on a bit of paper.
I write my lists on my phone just because it's there, but it's not the same.
No. I try and write it on the phone, but I can't seem to use my imagination as much.
Yeah.
If I want to write a shopping list, that's fine, but if I want to think about how a rider sat and how I want to play around with something to help them, then I kind of seem to need a bit of paper to doodle on whilst my brain's trying to work it out.
I find like things like that easier on my phone, but a shopping list I can't visualise
so we're all
it
different.
unless it's written down. And then when it's written down, I can like move stuff around and group things easier. And what's one bit of kit you couldn't live without?
Gym ball. Absolutely a gym ball.
Immediate.
Think about that.
I couldn't work. I was trying to think what questions you might ask me, and I thought, what would I recommend everybody get? It would have to be a gym ball.
What's your favourite exercise to do on a gym ball?
Sit on it.
Just sit on.
Sit on it, watch telly, sit on it, play around, just get really comfortable so that everything you do, your back, because your brain then uses all its little balancing muscles and all its little sort of, your posture stays quite good and quite flexible, and you tend to be quite symmetrical, and it's all the kind of same stuff that you need for horse riding.
Yeah.
So you can sit on a gym ball and completely muck around, play computer games, play around on your devices, and you will still be helping your horse riding.
Wow, I'm definitely going to do my jumbo watching TV now.
I have one at home, but it's only at home. I should probably bring it to where I
I've
live.
also got a wobble board if you want to borrow it.
Wobble boards are great.
I've got one. I stand on it. I was standing on it while I was doing my cooking, because then I was like doing something while not thinking about it.
Yes. Stand on it when you're cleaning your teeth. That's quite good.
I should do that.
But you need to make sure the floor is safe, so make sure it's on the mats or something. Don't have it on nice shiny tiles.
Make sure it's not in the way if you do live with anyone else in the house. It'll fall over.
We got really keen at the end of last season. We were in the flat. We were like, right, we're going to get really fit. So I've got a wobble board, another girl's got one. So we all had like a competition, and we stood on it to see how long we could, and we like threw a football at each other.
Excellent.
And
stuff
then
like that.
we swapped wobble boards, and hers was bigger than mine.
It's different, isn't it?
And it was so much harder, and she got on mine and was like, this is really easy. And I was like,
And
falling
the
off.
underneath bits are different. Some of them are flatter, some of them are curvier. And can you use, because you brought up a hula hoop earlier, can you hula hoop on a wobble board?
I did that at Champs last year as well. Very proud of myself.
I just want to point out that Kim, who is a physio that used to pass the balance rider, she's got a photo of me hula hooping on her Facebook that comes up every single year on memories with Alex, are you still hula hooping? And I'm like,
No.
Kim is really good on the gym ball. especially all the kneeling stuff.
I can kneel on a gym ball. It's like, so when I used to go to the gym, they had a wobble ball, but it was like half gym ball with a flat top.
The Bosu,
yeah, and the guy who worked there got really annoyed with me because every time I came in, I'd be like, can you pump this up so it's like as hard as it'll go? And then someone else would come in and immediately deflate it so it was easier, and I'd come in and be like, can you pump this up again?
Ball. Make sure it's really, really firm.
Yeah.
So it just challenges you a little
love
bit.
them.
If you've got a little fat cock, then go on a squishy gym ball. But if you've got a more adventurous horse, blow your gym ball up.
A more adventurous horse. I was work riding for someone, and I got on one of their horses and it went ballistic. It was just when everything had been clipped and it was cold, and it went mental, and I stayed on it and it stopped, and I looked at her and she looked at me and she went, how the did you stay on that? And I was like, I don't know. And it's because I'd been doing loads of work on a gym ball that I was
just fine tunes how your body reacts.
It teaches your brain that like if something goes that way underneath you, you've got to do that, and then you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
It was amazing.
It's a really easy piece of kit, and they're very cheap, and you can. I'm just seeing another physiotherapist walk past.
We'll get them on next.
And they're very cheap, and then if you've got to go away to college or whatever, you can deflate them, put them in the back of the car, take your pump along, put it back up again. Some people take them on holiday, and then a couple of really sort of keen people that are in the middle of competing and they've gone away.
That is commitment to take it on holiday.
No, it's good.
Well, that's all our questions.
Thank you so much for inviting me along, and Kiera the Poodle as well.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for talking to us and spending so long chatting about rubbish.
If people want to find out more about you, where would they find you on social
Easiest
media?
place to find us is on Facebook or Instagram. We're under the Balanced Rider, and come and say hello. And this weekend we're on the Horse and Hound stand at Badminton, and we're at quite a few shows during the summer. But on social media, we're on every day on Facebook and Instagram.
And as ever, if you guys have any comments or any questions, you can email us at theponypod@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And then, thanks everyone.
Bye.